is Thursday evening, the 13th of August, and let me say it's a very good evening to you and welcome to our broadcast. And it's brought to you courtesy of Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, in partnership with one of the friends of ours, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as the National Prosecuting Authority. It is the 6th edition of this show that we call Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Right show. My name is Karabolans. Ke setogolo sa bapedi le batebele ke thabela go ba le wena maitshimeng a legono re a amogela le wena motheletši mo kgašong ya rena yona o itlišetšwa ke ba ga Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, ga mmogo le kgoro ya toka le tšweletšopele ya molaotheo, that's the Justice and Constitutional Development, le the National Prosecuting Authority ka bopotlana, the MPA. Siyawamela nawe mlaleli kulehlelo lethu silethula ngabaga Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, nomnyango we Justice and Constitutional Development kanye National Prosecuting Authority. Now, having covered 3 of the languages, that tells you that our broadcast this evening is going to be a versatile one. So in other words, you're more than welcome to call in any language of your choice. If you want to speak any of the Nguni languages, you're more than welcome to do that. Sesotho languages, you're more than to do that. As a miskien Afrikaans wil praat, kan graag Afrikaans praat ook, so you can do that as well. So that's going to be quite wonderful this evening, and making sure that you're getting all the information that you need as we proceed with our show. This, like I said earlier on, it is the 6th edition of it, and this time around we're going to be talking about quite a topic that's been spoken about. In fact, you hear about this, you open your newspapers, your magazine, your television stations, as well radio stations across the country, even international. This is one topic that's been spoken about quite a lot: sexual offences. That's what we're going to be touching on. So, because this evening we're going to want to give you information that's really going to help you. So, joining us in the studio, you're probably wondering, now, it's a voice that you're familiar with because this person was here last week and they told me that she's coming back, and I was quite excited. In fact, I jumped like a kid, something that I don't do often. So, I'm quite excited to welcome once again Ms. Kamokhelo Lukubu Wilderson. She's the director in the unit that deals with victim support and specialized services at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Good evening to you, Ms. Kamokhelo.
Thanks, Karabo.
I'm quite excited to have you in the studio. We had quite a wonderful show the last time you were here. It was quite responsive as well. Listeners calling in and interacting with us, and you giving us information. I'm looking forward really to this show around, because the same is going to be happening, right?
Thank you. I'm pleased to report back that, as I indicated last time, that the topic we were talking about, the legislation dealing with trafficking in persons, will be in operation. It has been promulgated and it's in operation as from the 9th of August. So we can prosecute trafficking in persons offences comprehensively in South Africa from the 9th of August.
There we go. There you have it. In case you were wondering when this is going to be happening, well, it has started already, and it's big ups to the department for the inroads they are making. Be sure as a listener to follow us on social media as well. So if you're a Facebook person, you can definitely hook us up on Facebook at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Otherwise, Twitter and that type of thing, you can hook us up there on Twitter at DOJCD_ZA. And I said last week ZA is an American version of Z, so let me just correct it quickly. So that's at DOJCD_ZA. There we go. 9 after 6 o'clock. If you want to call us, 0800 142 446. That's the number to dial, and that number is a toll-free number if you're going to be calling from a landline or by not telecom line. Otherwise, if you're going to be using your cell phone, very easy. Call us in. Our producers are waiting to take your details down, and they will call you back. In that way, cutting you costs. So let me not yada yada too much, because I can't really. if you give me a platform to do that, I'll definitely do that. That's why they've put the microphones in front of me, because they know I can talk too much. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk too much. I'm going to let Mega Mokhaida do all the talking, all the advice, all the information that you need, just to make sure that you're getting, informed with regards to sexual offences, which is the topic that we're talking about. Mega Mokhaida, let me not go on. Let's start with the basics, and maybe somebody is hearing sexual offences term for the very first time, or they've been hearing it, but they don't actually understand exactly what sexual offences, what is it? If you could just explain it to us.
Sexual offences basically deals with offences through which a perpetrator unlawfully and intentionally commits an offence of a sexual nature on a person who does not consent to the act that is being committed by the perpetrator. And sexual offences, it's very interesting in the sense that we say that there is an age appropriate for consenting to sexual activity, and there are ages where we say as an adult you cannot assume that there is consent when you engage with in sexual acts with people of certain ages. For instance, if you engage in sex with children, you will be found guilty of an offense. And therefore, it is very important for the public to be aware that when you engage in a sexual act, you should be clear that the person that you're engaging in sex with is an adult, number one. Number two, the person must consent. And when we talk about consent, we mean yes, as well as we mean the fact that you and the person that you're engaging in sex with must be of the same mind. Okay. This is the difficult part where we say that it was their consent between adults,
Right.
Was their consent. And, sexual offenses are very difficult to prove because sex happens in privacy. Unlike many other offenses, it doesn't happen in public where you have witnesses who will be able to come to court to say, yes, I saw the deed.
Right, yeah.
So the perpetrators of sexual offenses thrive on the fact that it is an offense that is committed in private. So as I was saying, consent is a major, major issue, especially for adult victims of sexual offenses, because they have to prove that they said no. I'd like to really speak to young adults who are about 18 and just above about, how do you really conduct yourself in a relationship where you both are frolicking, but you want to say, this is the point at which I say no. I would advise people to say a definite no and pull away. Have a situation where you express your intention to say, I don't intend to go forward with the sex, because where there's rape, it's very easy. With offenses such as rape, there will be force, there will be a bit of violence.
Right.
But there are other forms of sexual offenses where you cannot really prove the physical violence. The evidence is very difficult, such as sexual assault, where a person frolics your breast or touches you with their private parts behind you, or basically arouses themselves through touching you. It is important to really create boundaries between people, to create boundaries with colleagues, to create boundaries even with a person that you might have a relationship with. Because the key issue is that you should be able to say, I am ready to engage in a particular action that is of a sexual nature. And if you're not ready, you should be able to say no. Often, I would say teenagers, young people, and some adults are unable to verbalize. But I often say to people that No is a very easy term. You should say, no, I do not want to engage in this particular act. If the person does not hear or does not agree with you, you should be able to walk away from the situation. So these are cases where we have, both sober-minded people talking or engaged in close relationship. It becomes more difficult to prove issues of consent or lack of consent, where in situations where people may be inebriated or something like that, because then it becomes difficult, because people might not verbalize because they don't have the capacity
to do that,
because of the drunken state or the inebriation state to say no. But it is important to make sure that you protect yourself when you go into social arenas of that nature.
So there we go. That's the voice of Mekamogelo Lukubu Wilderson. She's the director at the Victim Support and Specialized Services. That's the unit in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. 16 after 6 o'clock. If you've just joined us, welcome to it. This is our special show, live broadcast coming to you from our studios here in Pretoria. My name is Karabalans. Glad to have you with us. 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. Let's hear what you got to say. Perhaps you've got a question or comment with regards to the subject matter of this evening's sexual offences. We'd like to hear from you. Let's take Silo from Tembisa. And it's a very good evening to you, Silo. Before I take you live on the radio, can I ask you to please switch off your radio? I can hear myself a little bit in the background. So if you can just switch it off, I'd really appreciate it. Silo?
Hello.
Hi, Silo. How are you doing?
I'm good, and yourself?
Excellent. Excellent. What is your question or comment?
I've got a problem. Yeah.
Let's hear it, my brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what to do. Actually, last year I was arrested. I was arrested for a rape of a 14-year-old child, and then I went to the police station, and they took the child to the doctor, and then there's nothing was found to the doctor, and then I was even taken by a case officer to the doctor to take the DNA test. So there's nothing that was found. So, and the case just the court told me the case was removed from the road. So I just want to know what to do, because I need this case to be finalized in court, and so that the community, they will know that I didn't do anything.
All right. Brazil, I'm going to ask you to hold the line for me before I let you go, just to establish a couple of questions here. You're saying that you want to, you want the case to be, you want a definite answer in terms of what's happening with the case, but then you're saying that the case was struck off the roll. Is it something that you need in writing, or how do you need this, this confirmation that the case is definitely off the roll and you were not found, or there was no evidence against you that points that you have committed the sexual offense?
Yes.
Okay. Just hold the line for me, Silo. Let's see how we can deal with it. Mekamogelo?
Yes, where a case is struck off the roll or removed from the roll, it's different from where you are found guilty or not found guilty.
Okay.
And basically what the decision is that it's removed from the roll until further investigations or until more evidence is found. Because what he's saying is that there's no DNA or forensic evidence.
Yeah.
But remember, in law, we are able to prove the case with circumstantial evidence. And sexual offenses do not only take place through rape. Remember, in rape, you can call for DNA evidence. But there are situations such as sexual assault, compelled sexual assault, sexual assault, as well as sexual grooming. If you groom a child, you could be found guilty of a sexual offense.
Yeah. But in this instance,
because there's no DNA evidence, there's no forensic evidence, it does not mean a sexual offense did not take place. It might mean that rape did not happen, but there might be other forms of sexual offences that he might be found guilty of, and there might be other evidence that comes to court. So he is not left off the hook.
But he was
altogether.
charged. He was charged of rape. It's specific, this one. And
Yes.
since there's no forensic evidence, what must he do in this instance? Because when we're talking about rape, that's the charge that they gave to him. So
Yes.
now, for him to go forth and go prove that the rape did not occur, with the evidence that's given, no forensic evidence, from their side, what is it that he can do to actually take this matter forth to prove even further if he wants?
As we say, the arm of the law is long. So it depends on the state, whether it's ready with its case, whether we've got sufficient evidence. We can call back the case on the roll once we have the evidence. It doesn't depend on the perpetrator. It's unfortunate that in this situation, he didn't say the reasons why they removed the case from the roll. Often there is a reason why a case is removed from the roll, and that would be informing me as to whether there would be imminent charges or change in the type of offense that he will be charged of.
All right, Marcelo, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take your details down, and just for further engagement, and hand you over to one of our representatives from the department who can take this matter forth and give you just extended information. I don't want to keep you holding for too long on the line. We've got other callers that I would like to help as well. Is that all right with you, Marcelo? All right, let's move on to the next caller. We're going to Mafikeng in the northwest, and in Mafikeng there's James. James, good evening to you. What is your question? James? All right, we've lost James in Mafikeng, going all the way to Cape Town, and in Cape Town we're speaking to Mkhatshwa. Mkhatshwa, good evening to you.
Hello.
Hi, Mkhatshwa, how are you doing?
I'm right here.
Ungathetha isiXhosa tata. That's fine. Yeah.
Ndiva kakuhle uba nithetha ntoni kodwa ke ndisokondimane ndifowuna apha kuba ndifuna uqonda ukuthi yintoni lo ihamba kanjani bese ndithena ubuyela kum kani buyele kum. Yinenkinga endinayo ndifuna ukukhulumisana nani ndibone ukuthi ngeke ndikhalaze okuthile na kumaphoyisa nasekhodi ngokunjani.
Okay, keep on listening, Babumkhatshwa. What we're talking about this evening is sexual offences, into rape and that type of thing. That's what we're talking about this evening. I would like to invite you to listen in a little bit further so you can get the details in terms of more information what we're talking about. Thank you so much for your call, Babumkhatshwa. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. You're welcome to do that. Sizulu, Siswati, it's in the bed. All the official languages will be happy to take your call. Just in case there's a language that we don't understand in the studio, and which we should, as South Africans. We might ask you to translate a little bit, but hey, feel free to express yourself in that language. We'd like to hear that. 0800 142 446. And soon we'll be taking some of your Facebook and your Twitter messages as well. Keep them coming. If you want to chat to us via Facebook, is at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Otherwise, if you want to hook us up on the Twitter line, you can do that on our Twitter handle. It's at DOJCD_ZA. DOJCD_ZA. It's gone 23 minutes after the hour 6 o'clock. Now, moving on with the subject matter for this evening, sexual offences. We spoke about the issue age, which is running concurrently with issue consent, but we said consent, it should be consent of people of like, or people who are like-minded or adults. Now, where does the problem come in when somebody says, but hang on, this person is as far as I'm concerned, she's an adult and she's claiming to be an adult, or he or she's claiming to be an adult, and there's consent. But according to the Constitution, if I'm not mistaken, the word child refers to anyone under the age of 18. Yes. What if those people are under the age of 18, but they're saying, hey, no, look, you don't have to worry. This guy did not rape me. I gave him consent. But the person is under 18. How do you deal with a matter like that?
There's actually age differentiation. Recently, the court decided that in the teddy bear case, the issue of consent between young people was dealt with. And it was held that where young people engage in sexual experimentation, we'll call it, they can engage in such sex provided that they are not 2 years older of each other. So if you are like 14 and the other person is 16, then we will charge you of sexual offense. But if you are within the range of 2 years, as both male and female, we will let you off and put you through a particular program to educate you about, what is appropriate to, stage of engaging in sex. Mm-hmm. If it is a situation where an adult male, for instance, was of an impression that a young girl who is less than 18 was of age because he was given the impression that this young girl is above 18, then he has to prove that which he alleges, that he didn't know that she is younger than 18, and therefore it's upon him to prove that this person lied to him, because you've got to prove that she pretended to be of age when she was not. Often people say that I found the person at a nightclub. Nightclubs only allow persons beyond 18. She was wearing makeup, she looks big, she was having boobs, and she said she works at a particular place, and therefore I assumed she is an adult. You will have to prove to court that the person that you engaged in sex with is supposed to be an adult. Mm-hmm. So there is a space within the law that you can prove that. But remember, if the person is 12 years old, you cannot engage in sex with a person who's 12 years old and prove that you thought that they were adult, and you will still be charged of a sexual offense. You won't be, there's no defense in those situations.
All right. 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. We're going to take two callers back to back. Let's go to Mafike and Katleho. Katleho, good evening to you.
Ke James re telaga.
Le ga dad.
Ne ke kopa go botsa mabapi le batsadi ba ka bana ba bereka go dipolaseng e rile mara go ntate a sena go tlhokafala monno ntate na nne re bona re latlhela ko ntle ga strat ra nna ko strateng re setse ke batho ko strateng ke batla go dira seo sone ga e se sengwe se motho ka claima sengwe go tswa mo polaseng e motsadi wa gago o soletse mo gone a e bereka go itlhela tlhokafala o bo latlhela ko ntle ga tsela.
All right. Basically, what we're dealing with this evening, key issues are the sexual offences. But that does not mean that we're not going to try to help you, because I've actually heard about your case. Apparently, you've called in earlier on and you've asked the same question. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to hand you over to my producers. They're going to take your number down. I think the people who are dealing with this issue, get the guys from the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, because they're the ones who are dealing with the matters, somebody forced for removals and that type of thing. So it's good that you're listening to this show, but don't despair. My producers are on standby. They're going to take your details down, and they're definitely going to help you to do that. And all the best with you. Katlego? All right, there we go. And we're going to Mrs. All right, not yet. Yeah, I was very excited. I was just tapping into my Zulu mode. 28 after 6 o'clock, 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. Later on, we're going to be taking some of your Facebook and Twitter messages, and hopefully they're coming through. If you want to hook us up on Facebook at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, otherwise our Twitter handle very easy, at DOJCD_ZA, at DOJCD_ZA. Let's move on. One of the things that we do in this show, key issue are the Mythbusters. Now, you will recognize, for the past couple of weeks, there is a section about a myth that people believe in. And one of the myths, sexual offenses are only committed to guys or to people who are weak. It's a myth, which brings me to my next question. Who can fall victim to a sexual offense?
I would say I agree with you. It's a myth. It's basically a myth. But perpetrators of sexual offences are predators. Remember, sexual offence is an offence. It's a power offence, where somebody would like to exact their power over another person. So as a result, that's why the myth believes there's a myth that it happens against weak people. But we are conscious of the fact that it predominantly is perpetrated against vulnerable persons. I'm not calling them weak, I'm calling them vulnerable. A child is vulnerable because their understanding of social actions is not as astute as that of an adult. An older person is vulnerable because they might not see as clearly as a younger person in the dark. They might not hear as well as a younger person, during the day. Even if they see you, they might not be able to recognize your voice or to say this was a male, a female, or whatever voice. So this person is vulnerable. A mentally disabled person is vulnerable because they might engage in this sexual act, but because they don't understand the social ramification of the action. And the perpetrator knows that when you go to court, it will be much more difficult for this person to pin them down on the crime. So the perpetrators predate mostly on vulnerable persons because now other people are aware and they can stand for themselves in court. So I would say it's not really true to say they must be weak. They could be vulnerable.
All right. Just 29 minutes before the hour, 7 o'clock. We've got one caller. In fact, this person is calling from a city that experienced a high of about 24.5 degrees. For the first time, I'm wearing just a shirt. My colleagues know, I'm a Jersey person. But today, for some reason, I felt like, you know what, it's a bit hot. And that's Pretoria, peaking at a high of 24.5 degrees. And from Pretoria, we've got Terry. Terry, good evening to you. Good evening, Terry.
Hello.
Hi, Terry. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. What is your question or comment?
I just want to find out exactly how can I solve a problem that it's dampened into my life. I used to work at a coffee shop, and this coffee shop is owned by two males. Well, mainly the one male. And it was kind of like a feud between them of actually trying to get me into bed, okay? But the whole thing started all with him, the one owner, touching me and actually making me feel very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And because I've got this disability, they harped on that as well. And they actually made me work under very hectic conditions. Then he used to make me, I had to like massage him, and then I had to greet him every morning by giving him a hug. But then he'd storm out of his office or whatever in such a manner that could make me feel so scared. Now, this place has had so many problems and things like that. But what I'm saying, it's hurt me so badly that he actually told me he was going to pay me, and he hasn't paid me. And I left the place in January already, and I can't go to the CCNA because it hurt me spiritually, and it made me feel like I was the dirty person. Meanwhile, he was the one that was doing it to me.
All right, Terry, you're saying that he even hasn't paid. I mean, we've got two issues here now when I look at it. We've got the issue of labor, and we've got also the issue, obviously, of sexual offense. But now, during that process when he was doing these disgusting things to you, did you ever say no in a very audible and very, straightforward and firm way?
Well, sometimes I go, no, and it was like such a big joke that he manipulated me as well. kind of like situation. And I mean, he's having a bad day, so I must give him a hug kind of situation. And, you know, I'm a very, how can I say, trustworthy person. And he actually knew my father. He knows my father. So when my parents actually came to the coffee shop, he actually said, "Oh, I'll protect your daughter," and everything like that. And, you know, he slowly but surely tried things with me. He even tried to kiss me.
Yeah.
And I pulled away, and I was so shocked, I ran out of the office, and I didn't know what to do. I started to cry.
Okay, but the word no, I don't want you to do this, did it ever at some point come out of you?
I did say no at one stage, but it was like more like a joke.
We're going to follow it up. Just hold the line for me, okay?
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate situation, and sexual offences generally happen typically the way it happened to Terry. What this perpetrator was doing was an act of grooming. And when you say you're grooming a person, you're basically teaching them how to behave in such a manner that it would be difficult to say that there was no consent.
Right.
Terry, as she says, that she used body language to indicate that
Right.
she did not consent. She also, body language is like running away or getting away from the situation. That's a no. Whether it's verbal or body language, that is a definite no. So no can be verbal, no can also be through body language.
Okay,
so that is taken in court as a no.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to come there. Terry, just one more for me before I let you go. Have you ever received any form of counseling from this?
Well, I did go to Steve Biko because my doctor said it affected me very badly.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, through my faith and through God and the friends I have around me, thank goodness I have a close family knit with everyone. But, I mean, it still affects me still now. I mean, they said that I was fine. But, I mean, I can still now and then, when I really talk about it, it like puts a little bit of a thing in my throat.
Yes.
Thinking
Okay.
that, how could he do that to me?
Yes.
You know, I didn't deserve it.
All right, Terry, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Just because you said that even, I think we need to still do something about it. I'm going to hand you over, like I always do, to our producers. I would like to maybe just, ask you to open up to a suggestion of maybe, being sent for counseling again, and they can refer you to a couple of people that can help you. But for now, let me just hand you over to my producers. They'll take your number down and definitely follow it up, all right?
Thank you. God bless. Thank you very much.
God bless you, Terry. Thank you so much for that. It's 22 minutes before 7 o'clock, 0800 142 446, going all the way to Kurumane. Re tlo bua Setswana yaanong, and here's Katlego. Katlego?
na ke diphetogo Karabo
Le kae ntate?
ke siame Karabo
Yes, sir. Ke o mametse.
alright ke batla botsa kgang tse pedi ka gore ka re go na le mathatanyana a se ka mogela a simolola o bile kgang ya gore kgang ya sexual offense thata because ke dilo tsa batho ba babedi ba mo sephiring.
Yeah.
But we rang at the end because people go to jail, for heaven's sake. And then ha tswa go wa itse gore he was framed, especially rona majita. Nda ba re go ke dira ntse. But ke botsa gore puso e irang kgotsa molao o ira yang go find out gore go bua nnete fela e se sexual offense e le tumalano go tshimologong kgotsa ke yone kganye ya gore batsadi ba ngwana o batla go sotla wena jaaka lekau leo le dileng tso ba ka go dire ha o le o dira ga se se tshwanetse o ira eng go felo ba letsatsi o tswa kgolegelong o boetse gae ngwana o godile o fane ke motho a o gona ka dikgato kgatlana le eno ba getswe eng se dira tsotse ile ke batla go dira tsotse se botoka gore ke nete ga sentle la ke tswa kgolegelo ke gona go bankanya ntleng ba ka go dira molao o dira mo ntle ngwe botlhoko ke yone ya gore o fitlhelele kgarebe o mo lebeletse wena o lekao o botsa gore o 19 years or 20 years marakante eno 15 o ira mo ntleng e ka gore a se sexual offense o tshimologo le dumalane
ke la ka gore batsadi ba ngwana ba se kgato ya gore no o robetse le ngwana o mo tlhosa dingwaga le putso ya emela ngwana o jwa tla fela gore molao o diragala o diriwa jang mo ha wena o diragala go tshotso go dira jang ke le bogakala
ke le bogare there we go 0800 142 446 re ya go Senegal re bua le Mohlathupa ntate dumela ntate
ntate
le kae na
ke tlo wena ntate o phetse
ke phetse ntate potso a o e reng
ne ke kopa ho botseletsa ho menwa eo ke dulang le ena ka tlung me a ratang go tsamaya dikopano tsa mekga e meng ya dipolotikeng ke beng ka e bolela ke re moyemong ntate
right
jwale ntate there is this guy one of the councillors ne o kile a claima ho nna moo ke dulang le ena gore this guy o na le o mo tshwara bo ma private parts ne ene so ke opola gore nkile ka tsamaya le ena re ya ko police station ne so re fitla mo ra botswa fela gore na bopaki ke bofeng so ne ke ipotsa gore na bopaki bo tshwantseng e be bo teng ke ba gore a bete pele kapo jwang and this guy o bolela gore a ke be a thola mosebetsi unless ba etsa taba eno a e batlang wa bona all ka metswalle ya mosadi yo ke dilelena ka fela ya sebetsa ke ena fela ene ona le sebete sa gore a romele different tsa hae hore le ena ka sebetsa
yo all right ntate Mohlathupa we'll see re tla dila ka ona le ona we're not just going to let it go as it is ke go poma mele mo radio nya hao and I will definitely handle it
ere ke arabe dipotso tse pedi tse
all right thank you so much
gona jaanong go buile ntate diphetogo le ena re a fetsang go founa gona yaanong ba buile ka di situations tse two
right
the first one is sexual harassment clearly if you are in a working situation as well as Terry if you are in a working situation and motho o ga gapelletsa go dira di actions tsa a sexual nature as part and parcel of your duties and
that
threatens you
that you're not agreeing to
that you're not agreeing to as part of your duties and threatens actually to dismiss you or pretends that makes you believe that you will lose your job because of your refusal, then that's clearly sexual harassment. It's a labor matter that must be dealt with like that. Even if you were not employed, it's sexual harassment for somebody to say that before ke tla go fa tiro o tshwanetse wa robala le nna. Now the issue is kgotlatshekelo, justice works through evidence. You should be able to go and be a credible witness, which is something that we normally strive towards doing as the Department of Justice and the criminal justice system, is to ensure the public to say that come to court, we have programs that will enable you to be a strong witness personally, to be strong enough to go through court and give the judicial officer, the judge, the magistrate, the opportunity to hear your case and determine whether there was an offense or not. One of the issues that was said by the last caller, Kokore, ko police station e bare bopaki ke eng. They have no right to ask for bopaki in a case of sexual assault. Remember, sexual assault does not have to be violent. So you can't have evidence. It's your word against my word. So they must let this person, give them the opportunity to go to court to prove that the deed happened. The action that the lady said no to did happen. It is for the judiciary or for the magistrate, for the judge to decide whether who is right and who is wrong, who is lying and who is not lying in court.
But it can't happen at police station.
It cannot happen at the police station.
So the level of police station,
those kind of cases are cases that should go straight to court, because we don't rely on DNA or forensic evidence. It's your word against my word.
Would you say Mohlathupa and the wife should go back?
They should go back to the police station. And I would say that let me take his telephone numbers and ensure that we have a family violence detective who will go and deal with the issue and review the matter, because clearly in those cases you cannot say the person must give evidence, because the nature, sexual offense is such that it happens in private. So it's your word against my word.
All right, cool stuff. I'm going to take 2 callers, and then we're going to go back to question the one, how far is the law going to protect the innocents and that type of thing. But for now, let's go back to the telephone lines, and I've been told to wait a little bit. I will certainly do that. Thank you so much. 16 before 7, 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. Maybe in the interim, let's take a bit of a Facebook question that's coming through social media. And thank you so much to Lungelwa Simango. Lungelwa says, I laid a charge of rape last year when my mom at 61 was sexually assaulted and her private parts mutilated at KwaZakele police station. She passed on a week after she reported the case, and the assailant never arrested. What should happen now? It sounds to me that the passing of the mother is as a result of this horrible act. What can Lungelwa do in this instance? Because this is a big one.
This is a very difficult one, but as we say, it depends on the evidence that will be in place. We do not necessarily require the victim to be there if there is sufficient circumstantial evidence that can be used to prove that the perpetrator was the perpetrator of the deed. Therefore, it is important for the family of the victim to pursue the matter and request the police to give them reasons why they are not taking the case further, or to request the prosecution service if the case is handed over to prosecution service, to prosecution authority, to give reasons why they declined to prosecute.
It never even got there. It never even got to the level of judiciary.
Yes.
This case actually ended like the previous one we were talking about. It ended at the front desk at police station, because she says, after the mother passing on, she reported the case, but the perpetrator was never arrested. So it never even went to court.
Yeah, it is very important for the cases to be investigated thoroughly. And Karabo, I must emphasize that even though sexual offenses happen in private, the cases can still be proved beyond reasonable doubt based on circumstantial evidence. So it is important for them to pursue the matter. Like the other case that we talked about, ask them to give me their telephone numbers. I will put them in charge or in contact with the detective who will give them reasons why they are not investigating further. For instance, cases depend on whether we've got witnesses. It is very important for us to have witnesses. The witnesses might not have been in the room, but the circumstances or the scenario in which the injury or the violence happened might place the perpetrator right inside the crime scene. And therefore, it is important for them to pursue the matter. I would say that don't give up. Continue enforcing your rights, even if your mother has passed away, because she is the victim. You are also victims as families of the deceased, because you would not have lost your mother had this did not happen. And justice must be seen to be done where there is enough evidence to convict. The investigation authorities or the detective services will definitely submit the case to prosecution. If they form an opinion that there's no sufficient evidence, they must give reasons for not going forth with investigating the case.
All right, as far as the details are concerned, I think our social media producer, Samona Naidu, will definitely handle that. She's dealing with that contact there, and I'm sure Onale more of the details of that person. And wishing Lungelwa Simango all the best. And it's not a comfortable one, this one, to hear, especially on the radio. 10 minutes before 7 o'clock. Angering Zibidiel, I feel Zibidiel at the speed. Town or Batabla speed over Batabla Plung, or not on the Howell.
Chogana.
The guy now.
Ronaldo.
ga nke go na le se sengwe nke be le kwele
ka nnete re a leboga
phula se ka kurekwe
aga ke Karabo a kere
ke ena
buti Karabo nko ntumedisitse ka fa bo mme ka mogela
mme o theeditše mo le ka bolela le ena sho
re leboga kudungwane shu ge le sa phitse gabotse ka fao nna ke ka mo didiela ke tsheleditse mo se ya le moyeng
re a leboga
jalo ke rata go botiša putišo buti Karabo
pušo ya rena reng ya
ge motho a kere ke lesogana kere
ee
le ratana le lekgarebe le under 8 le under 18 years o ipušiša
okay
lekgarebe le lesogana le ba robala go tee wa ipušiša tabe ke bolelang
aha
mme ba robala go tee lekgarebe le ga le na bothata ebile ga le swariše mara rena ba bangwe le ba meloko le metswalle re kgona go bona gore o ka re go na le abuse ye e diriwa jalo a ke tsebe gore e ke nna ke se a victim mara ke swariša on behalf of the victim will that case be taken into consideration
kgaogelo did you say ke kgaogelo ko sebidele case ya sexual offences.
Pardon me, just before you answer, Kwago, let's do this. Let me take another caller quickly.
Okay,
so just to speed up the listeners coming in, and we'll definitely go back to the Kwago. Ke tlo gopola le tšheletse mo sealemoyeng sa lena kere ke a go leboga nkere ga Tembisa ke ne anye le spokesepedi gape but going to Tembisa you'll never know because I get Tembisa versatile. It's got all the languages. Lebogo
Tobela
le kae na
ya wa rona fa
o to dia gore batho ba ba ntie ka stenam ga ne nna kere o ka se bolele sepedi bolela sepedi ka bolela
awa homme sepedi le sona pe se akareditswa kere
aga a re kwa gore sa nna ke se
re a shumisa mo Afrika borwa
thobela
re ke le bue sebaka kere sorry le nna ke gone o latlhela tshwarelonya Kore, I just want to put this straight and I just want to be honest with myself and everybody around. Which means the way I was hearing the explanation is for you to be safer in South Africa, we must encourage the question of carrying our ID documents wherever we go. So I'm not saying anything is right and anything is wrong because going to prison, even it can even you the opportunities of your life.
True, yeah.
That alone will be
True.
And another thing, I'm not accusing Memo, but I'm just hearing like the body language, even though I can't see. The way the way taba is coming kaona. Ke bona o kare re no ibua fela o kare only the victims number one yo ba batho ba bo mme or the girls and the perpetrators yo ba batho ba bo ntate which means the boys. So we can get a clarity on a more. I agree the main aim and the intention of the radio and the program is just to build, to inform our community and our society.
Absolutely.
So that I want to come because I agree rona like a community ona rena le tsela ya rona ka mo gore na nang ka ona.
Right.
And ona le dilo tse dingwe tse loreng we are experiencing them in daily to daily basis. So when I look at the raise bana ba ilore they are angry. Ba iputa re bona vele ke ntse lore it meant for them, more especially boys.
All right. I think Wishisha and Tatalobo Pushale and even your comment, almost what you're hearing. The lead where the conversation is almost leaning to, but we'll definitely correct that because I can tell you right now, I'm not a specialist on that, but I can tell you what it's another myth again. The victims it's actually not, or the perpetrators it's actually not. But I'm not the one in position to be able to do that. Let me let you go for now, and then you'll listen on the radio. But we'll definitely deal with that.
That's correct, boss.
All right, let's go to Eldos, and we're talking to Claude. Claude in El Dorado Park.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Claude.
Yes, sir. I just have a question. If my child is 14 and the legal age to have sex in South Africa is 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it kind of how can I say send mixed signals across? Because in general cases, in most cases, most of the offenders, and allow me to use the word offenders from the other side.
Okay.
Most of the male counterparts are normally older than the females. Okay, aren't we opening up this thing to where people take things matters into their own hands? Because if your daughter is 14 and a guy is 21, you cannot do anything about it. And if such is faced in an environment, let's say for argument's sake, a community environment, it's easy for the girl to buckle under pressure and turn around and say this guy raped her if it was consensual. How does the state intend on dealing with matters to that? Because you're going to find a lot of kangaroo court cases.
All right.
I promise you that.
Claude, you know what? I'm very happy with your question, and I'll tell you why. Because it's going to give us yet another opportunity to deal with that age factor. You mentioned and you're giving an example of saying if the guy is 21 and the girl is 14.
Yes.
And we've touched a little bit on that. But we'll go back again, Claude, because it's an interesting one, and it's one that I would like us to even elaborate further on. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you. All right, there we go. Let's go to Uppington Park. Now, Uppington Park. Did you? It's not. I'm thinking about Kempton Park. Let's go to Uppington. Like we're going up South Africa now. My colleague has been to Uppington, and he tells me when he drives to there, he sees a mirage. I laugh at him every time he tells me that story. Let's go to Mararanka from Uppington. Mararanka.
Karabo lekai.
Re teng le kae ntate? Kore
Le rona re teng. Ke ne ke botsa potso fa, I just want to ask if there any thorough investigation e leng gore ya conductiwa mo both male and female, because ke utlwa e nna gore kgang ya gore dipaki ga di tlhokege fa gongwe mosadi a go claima jalo sexual harassment ga go tlhoke gore dipaki go ka te ke mampaki ke gore e diragala jalo le gore batho ba babedi jaanong mo e leng gore mosadi go na le botshepegi jo bo kae gore nako e nngwe ka fitlhele gore mosadi wa go claima kgetse a re monna wa mo harasa each and every time e bo fitlhele gore se se botlhokwa ke gore go ne le fair trial, a gona le sengwe se leng gore sa dirwa jalo di-investigation tse di dirang gore go bonagale gore ke nnete gore mosadi o wa harase se ka nna gore gongwe ko botlhokwa jwa letsatsi ona gongwe a ila monna yo a benna gore ga go ope o itseng ka gore nako ngwe fitlhe gore dio dirwa mo bonneteng nako ngwe ga nke o itse ga ona bopaki jo jwa gore tota motho o bua nnete go tswa mo tlhaloganyo ya gagwe.
All right, Mararanga, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. That was the last caller, by the way. Let me just handle one more Facebook question, which is coming from Salim Kasim, listening via Eastwave Radio, and she would like to know, can you elaborate further, she says, on what would be considered a sexual offense? Now listen to this one. This one is very interesting. A sexual offense in marriage. Because again, there are stereotypes that sexual offenses does not exist in marriages. That's another myth again. So Salim, thank you so much for posting your question on our Facebook page. We really appreciate it. So let's deal with those questions.
Let's start ka question ela ya gore o kare only an interested party. He ngwana gao a engage in sex, and you know that they are engaging in sex, can you bring the case? Mm-hmm. Yes, you have the responsibility to report the case, and it should be investigated by the police, and they should decide what proper offense to charge the alleged perpetrator with. So a teacher can report. They might not have been at the scene of the crime, but if they come to know that a child is, for instance, having a relationship with a teacher, one of the male teachers or vice versa, mm-hmm. or a female teacher, mm-hmm. then they can report. So you don't have to be, you have to be an interested party, a party with interest, or a party with a responsibility to report such a case. And the second issue that was raised is, I like the comment that one of the callers made, that it means it's important that we all carry ID documents.
Yeah.
Actually, his comment, I can put it on its head. I would say, as a person who intends to engage in sex with anyone, if you are not sure about whether they are an adult or a child, you've got to inquire. Are you an adult? Are you a child?
But
And also, secondly, I'm going to say sexual relationships should not be an encounter, a once-off encounter. You have to take time. You've got a responsibility as a person who may be charged with an offense to make sure that this person is an adult. It's your responsibility. So you need to find out from this person. You might even want to ask them to give you an ID to prove that they are an adult. So it is upon us as citizens we have a duty of care to make sure that when we engage in sex, we are certain that we're engaging in sex, consensual sex, with an adult and not with a person under the age. There was also a caller who are relaying what happens where I think it's a guy from El Dorado Park. Claude, who said a situation where 14 years old and is going 21, out with 21-year-old. That situation is clearly one that is not covered by consensual sex. The adult must be charged of a statutory rape because it is statutory rape. If you remember, what I said earlier on is that you must be 2 years, within 2 years of age if you have consensual sex, and it must be both children. So this situation is protecting children who are experimenting of sex. And we also want to deal with a situation where a child might cry foul because there's an overzealous parent. Where the overzealous parent is involved, the investigating officers will determine whether these two people had consensual sex and whether these two people are within the allowed child consensual sex. If you're an adult, it's a different matter. You will be charged with a sexual offense. The other myth that I would like to deal with is the fact that sexual offenses happen against children or women only. In terms of the current Sexual Offences Act, we will charge you if you are a woman engaging in sex with a young boy, and these often happen. Remember, the offense does not even have to be penetrative sex. A situation where you ask somebody to insert an object into your private parts, or you ask them to act in such a manner that they are sexually aroused, you will be charged of a sexual offense. And remember, offenses happen against men, because now it shouldn't be a situation where it's a penis penetrating a vagina. It could be any kind of penetration. And here rape will be, it's expanded. This is the beauty about the current law. It actually covers ground across the board. It's no longer discriminating. But the reality of the matter, if you remember, when we started this show, you asked the question whether there's a myth that sexual offenses happen against weak people. And I said it predominantly happens against vulnerable persons. But it happens against strong men who are violated and humiliated, because this is also an offense of power. Somebody wanting to show you that I can be more powerful. If I've got a gun and I violate you as a man, there's nothing you can do. I'm showing my power, despite the fact that you might be a bouncer at that particular time. So that you acquiesce to whatever, or you are forced to do a sexual act that you are not consenting to.
In the interest of our listener that's listening on the radio and posting the question via Facebook, Salim Kasim, let's answer that one very quickly as well. Sexual offences in marriage?
They do. You will be charged of any sexual offence in marriage if there is no consent. whether be it rape or sexual assault.
I read an article 2 days ago, somebody saying, no, but if you're married to somebody, you cannot rape them. There is no rape in marriage. True or not?
It's untrue. There is rape. Even if you're married, I should say. No is no. If your wife says, I do not want to engage in sex, and you forcibly, through whatever means, force her to engage in sex, you will be charged of rape. We will go to court. One of the things that I wanted to say is that although it is difficult to prove a sexual offense because it happens in private, I need to dispel it as a myth that we cannot prove sexual offense because they are not witnesses, because the kgotlatshekelo or the kgotlatshekelo did thing to make sure that we can see whether who is telling the truth and who is lying. So we must have confidence in the court system to say that that judge does not have an interest in the matter to actually say that you did commit the offense when you did not. So have confidence to go and stand the trial and defend yourself to say that I did not do the act. It will be upon the judge, based on principles of justice, to decide whether you did commit the act or not. And also the prosecutors and your lawyers will be there to assist you to prove whether you committed the act or not. So it is unfortunate that some of the questions that were raised was that what happens if I was falsely accused and I go to court? You have to appeal. If you believe that you are not the perpetrator of the offense, the court system is such that you can appeal up till the High Court to prove your innocence. And there's for the accused, we've got the legal aid board that will assist you. And for us, for the victims or the complainants, we've got the prosecutors who will go up to the High Court to prove that the act did happen.
All right, that's the voice. Yeah, Mekamogelo Lukubu Wilderson. She's the director at the unit that deals with victim support and specialized services for the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. And this is how we wrap up our show for this evening. Thank you so very much to my producers. I'm talking about the man who's handling all the technical issues and making sure that all the connections are not failing us. We keep connected on air. And this is the guy by the name of Mosoto Stone. He is very quick. He's just typed a message very fast to me to say, hey, you're forgetting something very, very important, which is the contact details. And thank you so much, Stone, for that. So if somebody wants to follow up, perhaps they've got questions and they need to call you guys, any contact details that you can perhaps help us with?
Okay, I'll give you these contact details. You can call the department at 012-312-7500. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, Kara.
There we go. Yeah, as I said, the voice, yeah, Meka Mahelo Lukubu Wilderson, thank you so much for your time as well. Thank you so much to Mosoto Stone, Reginald Sanyani, as well as Ubabu Kola Mazibugo. And we've got the guys handling all the video connections. If you want to check this out on YouTube, by the way, and maybe you've missed out on it, you just came in like 5 minutes ago, and you wonder what happened with the show, you can check it out on YouTube as well. Thank you so much to our video team as well, and Kadimeng. There we go. She put a smile as well. And little Rakakwa. You see, Borababang, you don't mention their names, you see. You have to show respect. You just say Lintate, and then you leave it there. You see, Kadala Mahasman Lehasik is one of the guys that are handling our video connection and making sure that the stuff is on YouTube as well. We've got special guests coming from the Department of Basic Education. Nod. They're waving. There we go. Welcome, you guys, and thank you so much for joining us this evening as well. Not forgetting my Facebook producer and Twitter producer as well, Samona Naidu. And somebody just hopped onto Reggie's chair thinking I'm going to mention his name. It's not going to happen. Forget it. It's not going to happen. Not tonight, Baba. So thank you so much. My name is Karabola Obra Lawrence as well. Now, he's the leading guy from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. He makes sure that I speak sense. he puts all the stuff together and follow it up and making sure that the show happens. And not forgetting you as a radio station as well. Thank you for your time. 6 weeks down the line, and you're still faithful as ever, making sure that this information reaches your listeners. So that's how we wrap it up. From myself, Karabalans, this is how we wrap it up, saying providing accessible, speedy, and quality justice for all. This is the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Ciao for now until we meet again next time.